Good morning. I am your host, Jennifer Purcell. Living with a Visible Learning Challenge is the name of this podcast. And today we will discuss the challenges and triumphs of those who are neurodivergent living in a neurotypical world that was built for neurotypicals, not neurodivergence. And I hope that this podcast will not only open up your eyes to the challenges that neurodivergents have, but also the ones that maybe neurotypicals have that we can share with you, even if you're not neurodivergent. And also, I have interviews on here with neurodivergent advocates and also with neurotypicals that work with neurodivergence to see how we can interact with each other and how we can embrace our differences and similarities and try to understand each other and come to common grounds and be able to, just kind of help each other live a more harmonious and easier life. Okay, good morning. I am here today with Laura, and I will be interviewing her about her son Ollie and about his life with autism. And I will also be asking her some questions about Ollie's cookies.
Yeah. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. So, Laura, if you can just start giving some background about you and your son.
Yeah, so my name is Laura Bach, and my son's name is Oliver, but we call him Ollie. And Ollie was 3 years old when he was diagnosed with low functioning autism. He's in a really good mood today, so you'll hear him giggling in the background.
That's okay.
Um, and our journey kind of started then.
That makes sense. Do you know if he was born with autism?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know if he was born with autism?
I believe he was. So, it's such a mystery, autism in general. And there's so many different beliefs on it, but Ollie has been Ollie since the day he was born. He hasn't changed at all.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I know for me, I was diagnosed with nonverbal learning disability when I was in college. And
Okay.
it's kind of like autism where for me, it's basically hard to comprehend body language and social cues, um, and facial expressions and tone of voice.
Okay.
I don't know if your son has any of those challenges.
He has all of those challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only is it hard, the receptive part of that, but also the expressive part of that. So Ollie he just turned 9 in
Mm-hmm.
April, and he is, I believe I'm making the term up, but it's barely verbal.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was nonverbal until I would say 6 or 7, and then we started to get one word expressions from him. And but he does a ton of therapy, speech and behavioral therapy, and he's now saying complete sentences, I would say like 6 to 8 words. But he still struggles, and he tells me a lot. He struggles with
Mm-hmm.
emotion and how to
Mm-hmm.
express it. So
That makes
I feel that his receptive, like reading people's
mm-hmm.
body language, is better than his expressive
Mm. That makes
showing
sense
it.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Before I was working with the nonprofit I work with now, I was a life coach for some kids with some kids and adults with autism. So I've seen
Yeah.
it in many different forms.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And sometimes, I feel like, oh, it's something that I don't know if we're ever gonna get, and then he just gets it. So
Hmm.
it's incredible.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. When did you kind of when did you let him know that he was autistic as a, as a mom?
Yeah, that's such a great question because I never even thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
It never even crossed my mind that it was a conversation that I needed to have with him. And I'd say I read something, maybe just on social media saying that exact question, have you told your kid they're autistic yet? Make sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh. So he must have been probably 6, I want to say, 6 years old
Mm-hmm.
before I started talking to him about it and letting him know, I always knew his receptive language was really clear. And
Mm-hmm.
so I realized, oh my gosh, here I've been talking about autism his whole life, and I've never talked with him about that it's him and he has it, and
Right.
acceptance and all of that. So yeah, and it's like I got zero reaction, so I have no idea if he comprehended what autism was, if he had
Mm.
it, all that. But he's 100% sure now. I mean, I asked even just right before our interview, I said, you know you have autism, right? And you know what it is? And he said, yes. Mhm.
Yeah. I was curious if he knew because I know sometimes like you said, it's hard for them to comprehend or um I mean, I'm sure he's aware that he feels different from his friends.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's probably one of the biggest burdens about it.
mm,
And well, that's what he and I were talking yesterday. And when I say he and I are talking, it's me asking simple, short, direct questions. And
right.
him answering me um basically yes and no, and so no, I believe that uh, he has had difficulties and he does feel like there are some burdens. Could you guys just quiet down just a little bit? Thank you. And I think the awkwardness of trying to make friendships is
Mm,
probably the biggest burden on him.
yeah, that makes sense. How does it, I don't know if because he's still growing up with autism, how does it feel for him having it? And you can answer that as, from the mom's
Right.
side.
Yeah. I think I wrote, it feels hard. He said, it's
Hmm.
hard. Um,
That makes
he knows he's
sense.
different, and he's a very social person.
Hmm.
So sometimes it's really a struggle.
Yeah, because
He
he
wants to
wants to
fit in.
be
He wants to
social.
play with the other kids, and he the language is a huge barrier. That's why some activities are so much better than others. Like
Mm,
Oliver loves going to the trampoline park
hmm.
because there's a loud music, which doesn't bother him.
Okay.
Um, but none of the kids are really talking to each other. They're all just
Mm,
kind of playing together and jumping around and in the
hmm.
same area, kind of like parallel playing, but for older kids. And so he
Hmm.
thrives there. And you can just go and see the stress melt off of him the second we walk in.
Oh.
We love it. Yeah. So, in situations like that, he really thrives. The ocean too, like you can play with other kids without having to be very verbal.
Hmm.
So he really enjoys going to the beach and doing activities to where you don't have to be real verbal.
That makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Um, I remember some of my clients had a iPad to communicate. I don't know if Ollie has one of those.
We did that for a long time. It was like called the AAC device.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's how he started to learn. Oliver used it more to teach himself how to read
Mm.
and how to spell.
Hmm.
So he wasn't too interested in talking at the time, but it ended up being a very beneficial device for us in other ways.
That
So
makes
yeah,
sense.
that's what he used it for. And then he never really did use it to speak. I think he needed to be ready for that. And
Yeah.
as much as I worked with him and taught him words and we did the flashcards and tried to force words out of him. It's like when you're not ready, you're just not ready.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. It's good to go at their pace.
Hmm.
Uh, does he have an IEP in school?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Hmm.
good. Yeah.
Yes, he does. And we meet it, we challenge it, we're constantly on it. And I have a advocate who's been with me, volunteer,
Hmm.
since we started IEPs. So I'm
Wow.
very lucky, very blessed that way to have the support.
Yeah. So I'm curious if Ollie has ever like encountered being bullied at school. That would be, I know it's unfortunate.
Yes, I mean, and so far, if that has happened, I don't know about it.
Hmm.
I haven't, he's still at the elementary level where he just finished third grade.
Mm,
We do some inclusion, and everything I'm hearing is super positive. The
good.
kids love Ollie. In fact, this year specifically, we were on the news quite a bit with our cookie company, and it's
Hmm.
called Ollie's Cookies. So, it got around school that he was named after this cookie company. So he kind of it's like the kids kind of treated him like a little celebrity. And so I think that was really fun for him. He said he really liked it.
Yeah. Um, how did you come up with all these cookies?
So I'm a chef and
Hmm.
I've been baking my entire life. I left my job when Ollie was diagnosed, and we realized it was too hard for my
Mm,
mom to be able to care for him all the time. So I've always had a passion for baking. And then when it got to the point where it was time to earn some extra income,
hmm.
I just decided to fall back on what I know and what I love. And it was something I could do from home. So Ollie has 24-hour protective services because of some of his needs.
Right.
Um, so that was important to me to be able to do it from home and, to be able to be with him rather than get babysitters and all that. So, yeah, the concept of the plant-based cookie was something I created years ago when I was opening up a cafe that didn't last long, but
Hmm.
the cookie was something I kept baking, and I had brought it to all of my friends, and then it was actually finally my boyfriend who kind of inspired me to try to make a living with it. And
Mm.
well, actually, he just said, pay my bills. And I went off and running and decided to make a career choice.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Um, and I think I remember you saying that Ollie does the cartoons,
Yeah, so on our packaging, there's art on all
right?
of the packages, and each cookie has a different art piece on it. And Ollie has draws all of the art for the
That's
packaging.
cool.
So, and it's something he's really proud of. And he loves being a part of the business. And baking doesn't interest him at all, but
Mm,
he's very creative.
hmm. Um, when did you realize that he liked to do art?
Oh gosh, when did that all come about? It seemed like, oh, I know.
Hmm.
So COVID,
Mm,
during COVID, when we
of
started to
course.
homeschool, it just before he left, I guess preschool it was, his teacher told me that art was a challenge for him because of the occupational therapy skills, of like the fine motor holding the scissors,
Hmm.
that he was really struggling with that. And I love art. Art is my world. And so I was like, no, 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 we're gonna work on this and
Mm,
practice. And Ollie's always done excelled with like positive reinforcement, like the bigger cheers leading you give him, the more he wants
hmm.
to strive for whatever he's doing. So we started doing art projects all the time, and all of them involved crafts and cutting and gluing, and so it kind of started there. And then it just kind of, I guess, evolved into more of the drawing. And he used to get so frustrated and not want to color ever or
Mm,
draw because he couldn't stand when it wasn't perfect,
mm,
like going out of the lines or anything.
yeah.
And so I was taught techniques to teach him, like you put glue around the lines and let it dry so that he doesn't go out of the lines,
Mm,
kind of thing. And we worked on things together, and I tried to teach him acceptance of art is never perfect,
mm-hmm.
And and so I think just the more he practiced and the more he did, he just realized he was really good at it and got better and better. I mean, now he's amazing.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of the art that you had on the bags of cookies. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell it was done by a 9-year-old.
It's incredible. And actually that was done by a 7-year-old when he did
Oh,
it.
wow.
And the stuff he does now, like it's just absolutely incredible. His three-dimensional work, his computer animation and editing, stuff that I never even knew the iPad could do.
So it sounded like you guys had Ollie's cookies when he was 7. That's when it
Yes.
started.
Yeah. It was, I think it was at the towards the end of 2022. So it's been like a year and a half
Okay.
now. And yeah, it started on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I put out a message just telling my friends and family on Facebook that had been following. I blogged about our journey
Mm-hmm.
since Ollie was diagnosed. And so Ollie has a following. And when I put on there that I was going to start offering these cookies for sale and to help better our life. I mean, Ollie has well, his teacher since preschool has always told me to basically teach him to read and expose him to as much as I possibly can.
Right.
And so I have felt like he's just thrived with travel and being able to do, different things around our community. So I wanted to be able to obviously pay for all of that without going into huge debt and just expose him to as much as I can. So that's what we did. And we started on Facebook, and I had offered to deliver all the cookies, which
Mm-hmm.
was a huge undertaking
I can
because
imagine
we
that.
had hundreds of orders like right away. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there. And I think within the first month, yeah, of being in business, we had like Channel 8 News reach out to us and tell us
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to come do a story on us. And then it just exploded, after
Wow.
that. Yeah. And it's been up and down, definitely the more I put into it, the more we get out of it. But now we're doing farmers markets this year,
Mm-hmm.
and we do all kinds of fun events too, to where, it's great. I mean, it really helps support us, and we get to give back to the community. Our mission with all these cookies is to spread autism awareness. So I get to write that on my banner, and I get to have so many people come up to me that are neurodivergent, live with somebody who's neurodivergent, or just
Mm-hmm.
works in the industry. And they get to come up to me and say, "Hey, what are you about? How are you giving back? What's your deal?" And I just let them know that, I just create a safe place for people on the spectrum or, neurodivergent of any kind to come up and tell me their story, to share my story with them, to share resources.
Right. Yeah. I love that you do that.
Thank you. I love that I do that too, right? I
Yeah.
love that part of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
what makes me so excited about going out and setting up my booth. And, it's like I have a good product. My cookies are delicious, I guarantee it. But more than that, like it's just about what we're doing and
Right.
hopefully, creating jobs at some point for people on the spectrum. And just there's so many opportunities that all these cookies can
Mm-hmm.
bring that it just excites me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was going hanging out with my friend a couple weeks ago, and we found Blissful Seeds.
Oh,
And it
great.
was
Yeah.
cool because I saw all these cookies in there and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So I was curious when you heard about them.
I was very excited when I heard about them.
Yeah.
I didn't know Rita before then, and so I had been doing another event, I think, and everybody was talking about it because the
Mm-hmm.
event was all people that put on that had special needs. And
Right.
so they're like, "Have you heard about this store?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't, but I have to get in there." So I went down and introduced myself, brought her some cookies, and she immediately said, "Yeah, we need you in here."
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a great relationship. I am just nothing but, good vibes and hope that she continues to succeed and help people the way she is. She's a pretty amazing person, and the store is an amazing, beautiful store. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. When I went there, when I passed by at first, I thought it was fair trade because of all the art in there.
Hmm.
But when I went in and saw what it was, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I should interview some of these people for my podcast.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm going
definitely.
to.
Definitely. In fact, there's a new art piece that Ollie came home with
Hmm.
that she wants to display in the store, and I think we're going to put it up there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Um, what else was I gonna ask you? Oh, um, I was curious if there are any other like gifts or talents that Ollie has other than art.
Um, well, he's a jokester. He likes to make people laugh.
That's good.
And it's funny, it's like the more the communication comes, the verbal communication comes, the more confident, he
Hmm.
seems to be, kind of little smart alecky, likes to test mom, that's for sure. He surfs.
Hmm.
So that's something that has taken a long, long time, a lot of years of, we love to travel, and Maui is our favorite spot to go to. He has an adaptive surf coach there
Mm.
that's been working with him for, I think, like 3.5 years now. And so he just finally got up this last year on his own.
Wow.
And yeah, doing some surfing, and he plays soccer, he plays
Hmm.
baseball. He loves being on a team.
Mm.
And I don't know. I mean, yeah, technology is definitely his jam. He
Right.
is so good at it. He can, I'm pretty sure he's in the process of making a YouTube channel. I'm just not sure, like, he knows exactly how to execute it, but all I know is all of our storage is full with photos and video. And he does a lot of recordings of himself.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not positive, just it's kind of a lot like our business.
Yeah.
I just love to kind of stay back and watch Ollie. He's pretty unique individual, and I think he's extremely intelligent,
Hmm.
and he knows what he's doing, but I don't know what he's doing. So, so
Oh,
I
good
just love
for
to see how
him.
it evolves.
Yeah. Seems like he could probably do art and tech when he's older for a job or something if he wanted
Yeah.
to.
I definitely, I feel like there's a considerable amount of career paths, excuse me, that he could go down. And to me, that's pretty much what I'm picturing at this point,
Hmm.
but he's so young. It's like, who knows
Right.
what's going to evolve with him, especially the
Yeah.
more his communication comes. I mean, I'll be able to get such a more clear picture on his
Hmm.
interest.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I was curious what you try to spread to your customers with Ollie's cookies in terms of like your message for your son and for what you do.
Well, when people come up and ask me what we're about, I try to, I always point out, excuse me, his art, and
Hmm.
just, like, I want people to see what he's capable of, even if
Hmm.
it's just a glimpse into it, because it is amazing. It's like there, the concept of autism and a lot of what people believe it is, they're not intelligent,
Hmm.
and it's so wrong. So it's important for me that people know that, and that life doesn't stop after a diagnosis. Once you're diagnosed, I mean, that's just the beginning, of
Right.
getting the help and the tools that you need to create a beautiful life. And I want to let people know that, like, uh, our life is full. Our life is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And I love Ollie, and Ollie loves me back just as much. And he can show me, because there's a lot of thoughts on, like, people with autism don't show affection,
Mm,
but he does. And um, I don't know. It's important for me to be there, just my presence, spreading autism awareness, because it's going to make you think. It's going to make you think
mm-hmm.
about autism. And then it's going to make you come up and say, well, what are you doing for autism?
Right.
What are you spreading? And then I get to tell them about our life, and I get to ask them about theirs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, do you or I don't know if your son has the answer to this one, but does he ever wish he wasn't autistic?
Yeah, I asked him that yesterday, and he
Mm-hmm.
said yes.
Mm.
And I mean, I feel the same way. There are times. You want to answer? Yeah, go blow your nose, please. Um, there are definitely times, it's can be difficult. Um, and and the same thing for me. There's sometimes where it's like,
Right.
I wish this wasn't there. I wish, that we were accepted and invited, to parties, and
Mm,
um, but I know it's uncomfortable for other kids, and
mm-hmm.
Ollie knows it too. And we're both very aware of that our life is a little more difficult, and it takes someone with a lot of patience
Mm-hmm.
to invite us, to be in their lives. And so it makes you extra grateful for the
Mm,
people that are willing to share their life with you,
yeah.
and I think Ollie feels the same way. Like, if he connects with you, I mean, it's a connection like you've never felt in your life. It's so special, because there's nothing more real than someone with autism. They will tell you exactly what they think of you.
Yep, they will. Yeah, they will. They're pretty honest.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe sometimes too honest.
Sometimes, yeah, yeah, I know it, and I'm sure I'll come across that the more the language comes.
Yeah.
Would you mind checking on him? Something happened. I felt like something broke
Where is he outside?
in the bathroom, I think.
Um, you had spoke to this a little bit earlier that you feel like it's a burden for him and for you. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, I guess I felt like the question was, does it ever feel like a
Mm-hmm.
burden?
Yeah.
And sometimes it does. It does, because we miss the social
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it. Like, he wishes it would be easier to make friends,
Yes.
and it's, I guess, in by burden, I mean, it feels heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It feels heavy. It
Of
feels
course.
lonely, to feel different. And I mean, I really can't speak so much for Ollie, and he gave me a pretty simple answer, like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
it does feel like a burden. But I mean, just speaking for myself,
Right.
it's it's been harder. I feel all the feels about wanting to be around people and wanting my son to be included.
Mm-hmm.
And um it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I know for myself, I sometimes feel lonely too, where
Yeah.
it's hard for me to make friends too with
Mhm.
even being an adult. I don't really have that many friends that are neurodivergent myself, more neurotypical.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. That was
Mm-hmm.
my boyfriend was asking that question, or for me to ask you that. Um, Most of all these friends are neurotypical. He struggles with people on the
Mm-hmm.
spectrum, especially if they make a lot of loud noises.
Mm.
It's very difficult for him that it stresses him out like it's nobody's business. I mean, and it's hard. I feel like, and you can tell me for sure here, but I feel like the older you get, the harder it gets.
Yeah, it does in some cases. I mean, for me, I feel like it was a little bit early, it was a little bit easier when I didn't know what I had. Um,
Oh, okay. Mhm.
but I guess it's kind of like a double-edged sword there because like it is easier now that I know I have an LD, but it does get harder because you're less around kids your age or adults your age when you're out of school.
Mhm.
Unless have them at work or you are able to make friends outside of work. So yeah, you're right. It does get harder.
Yeah, less opportunity.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I think COVID made it harder too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. That was hard to snap out of. Yes, Oliver. So COVID for me, compared to a lot of my friends with neurotypical kids, like
Hmm.
they were going nuts, and their kids were just bouncing off the walls, and Ollie was quite content. We could play in our backyard, and we has a trampoline back there and swings and all of that. Um, he's a very social person, but he
Hmm.
also really likes his alone time,
Hmm.
and very comfortable in it. So yeah, it wasn't as hard for him.
Yeah. I
Coming out
can
of it was hard.
yeah, I can relate to that.
Yes.
What would you or your son tell others who have autism as a motivation when they get discouraged?
Let's say the biggest thing is just try not to give up. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the kind of the obvious, but it's the things that I, it was definitely the verbal communication, and that's the thing too, is everyone on the spectrum is so different. The spectrum is
Hmm.
huge. And I think I went in, right away when we started preschool, and I was like, oh, there were some kids in the class that were fully verbal. They were totally speaking. And I was like, what'd you do? How'd you do that?
Mm,
And I remember like seeing a number in my head because I met one little boy on the spectrum who could talk fluently. And it was
mhm,
like, okay, 4 years old. So, okay, 4 years old. He'll be talking by four, and then it didn't come and there was no
mm,
words still. And I remember that was the first time that I I felt like giving up,
mm,
and I felt like it wasn't going to happen. And um and then I just realized it didn't matter. And I just kept trying and trying and trying, and we never stopped. And all of a sudden at 7, there was like 1 or 2 words coming out. And then at 8, there was like 3 to 5 words coming out. So, I mean, you see, like over the very long time,
mhm,
you get very little progress, but you have to believe in that progress because now I'm getting once a month, 2 more words.
mm,
And it's like, it's coming and it's happening. And it's because we didn't give up
right.
and we just keep trying. And I keep praising every single thing I get. I mean, and my advice for anyone supporting someone on the spectrum
Mhm,
is, I mean, you can't praise them enough
mm,
for the very, very small accomplishments.
that makes
Because I
sense to
think that's
me.
everything with Oliver. He thrives on it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the praise makes sense because I remember that was a key thing when I was a life coach too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what else was I gonna ask? Um, yeah, the small progress makes sense to me too because I can remember when I would struggle with things growing up and I would feel so discouraged of like when am I ever gonna have math be easy or
Mhm.
writing or just expressing myself with my friends and trying to um
I was gonna say feel normal, but that's would be in quotes.
Right, totally, yes.
Um, but yeah, you do have to keep trying because it's easier to get discouraged and feel like quitting, but then when you don't, it's more rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Um, what would you do for motivation in terms of when people think their kid or the child themselves thinks they have autism to try to encourage them to get tested?
What would I do for that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely, that was like the answer I thought right there, just get tested,
Right.
yeah, I would say if you feel like you are, in most cases of anything, you probably are.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going through your mind and you're seeing the signs, there's probably something to it. And just remembering that um the spectrum is huge,
Yes.
and there's all levels of it, and it is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of,
Right.
and in fact, it's amazing what it can do for your relationship either way. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't get tested and you don't know and you don't get the help you need or the understanding of who you are, it's
Yeah.
going to put huge strain on your relationships,
Mm-hmm.
but if you are willing and you can do that, then your relationships can blossom into something really beautiful because you have an understanding of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you stop expecting the other person to just know what you need.
Right. Yeah, that
So,
makes sense. Yeah, I know for me when I finally got tested in college, and I kind of had a hunch I was had something before then in high school.
mhm,
But I actually was tested when I was a kid, but there wasn't enough to sway me one way or the other for a diagnosis.
right.
Um, and so uh, when I was in the dorms, I had a roommate who was deaf,
Mhm,
and I asked her how she got her accommodations and like how to do the testing because I was curious.
mhm,
Um, and I think that's what helped me realize, okay, maybe I should, ask my parents if they're okay with me doing this.
right, yeah, mhm.
uh, and that when I got it, I felt so relieved.
Oh, that's good. That's what I hear from most people that
Yeah.
I've talked to, is that there is a sense of relief.
Did you feel relieved for Ollie too?
Oh my gosh, when I got his diagnosis, I went into a complete self-centered spiral. I was
Mm,
devastated. That just it was like my whole world stopped.
mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time to get out of it.
Mm,
Um, to even think about Ollie and I mean, it was completely about me
mm-hmm.
when I heard. And I mean, that's just being 100% honest with you. I spiraled and I could not believe this was happening to me. And
Mm,
I didn't even know what autism was. I,
right.
I had never looked into anything. I just thought this perfect, little human being was all of a sudden imperfect. And oh my
Mm,
gosh, what am I going to do? How are people going to perceive me? And
mm-hmm.
it just, I mean, it's quite ugly, when I think back about it. But I think it's also normal
Mm,
human behavior,
mm-hmm.
to think like that. And I say a lot that, I'm ashamed of that, those thoughts. I'm ashamed of the way that I didn't even realize the world that was there around me. There are so many people with disabilities that, like when you live a very neurotypical, in quotes,
Mm-hmm.
normal life, um, you don't notice. I didn't
Right.
notice. And that's what the thing with the diagnosis, after I got past my own personal trauma of it, it was like my world opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so many beautiful people around me that I'd never seen before. And all the unique qualities that come with autism are absolutely beautiful. And it's just like you see a light that you've never seen.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. What for you is your proudest accomplishment of your son and of Ollie's cookies?
I'll tell you, well, for my son, I would have to say potty training. It was a huge accomplishment. It took an entire summer, and um it was just, I went next level with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was something we worked on morning, noon, and night. There was no,
Mm,
3-day thing like my neurotypical kids. It was day and night, 24/7. We lived it, we breathed it, we lived in the bathroom. And it was a huge accomplishment. And I remember, doing the potty dance and,
mm-hmm.
and he was so proud of himself. Oh my gosh. So that's on a personal level.
Right.
But the biggest accomplishment with all these cookies has definitely just been like having the courage to start.
Mm-hmm.
And to start and to know I might fail, and
Mm-hmm.
and just being okay with that, and going out and being a genuine, authentic person, being honest. I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud that I can do this on a level that involves him, that lets me be the best person I can be. And I hope that Ollie sees that
Mm-hmm.
and wants to be like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, that's basically it, unless you have more that you want to speak to.
Um, no, I think we covered everything. I think you did
Okay,
an amazing job with the questions. Thank you.
thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I can send you the recording, and I just so you can let me know if you want me to edit anything out, I can.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I mean, sorry about the little background noise, but no, this was a great interview. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
great. Thank you.
All right, Jennifer, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks. Before I go into that, I thought I would address that this election is going to be very important, and I am not telling you how to vote. I'm just encouraging you to vote. If you are 18 years old or older, I encourage you to vote and to do a lot of research so that you are informed on what you're voting on, and that you are able to do I guess do well with the voting process and be informed on it. Um, and I am also an ambassador for the NVLD project, and then NVLD project is trying to get the NVLD back on the DSM, which is a manual for mental and learning disabilities, and it helps people get accommodations in school and in life by defining what the disability is and how it affects you in life, and by showing examples and evidence of it, and by giving a clear definition of it. So that's what the DSM is, and they're trying to get NVLD back in there. And in order to do that, they renamed NVLD to visual spatial disorder. Sorry, developmental visual spatial disorder. I always forget the D. And my hope is that when they do that, they will list all the symptoms, because nonverbal wasn't a very good name for it either, but neither is developmental visual spatial disorder, because it's not just developmental and visual spatial, it's also the social, which nonverbal doesn't have either. So it's like, my name that I've kind of developed for it, which I'm not sure if it's very good either, is invisible learning spectrum disorder. But I don't know that's very good either. So anyways,
and this podcast is also supported by Patreon and Spotify and BetterHelp. So BetterHelp is a therapy company that does therapy online and remotely. I have not used BetterHelp, but I know they're very good, and I have been in therapy for uh, more than 8 years, I think 8.5. I'm not doing it currently, but I was doing it last year, and it was very helpful for me when I was doing it online and remotely. And it was very helpful for me. It was able to change a lot of things in my life and make make my life better. So if you want a discount for BetterHelp, I'll include the link for that. And Patreon is a way for me to give you the episodes without any ads like I'm doing right now. And I give you access to transcripts as well and to the episodes without any ads. So if you want that, it's either $5 for the episode without any ads or $10 with the transcript. I know that might seem like a lot of money, but I'm not really not doing it for the money. I'm trying to do it so I can donate the money to the NBLD project, or so I can do it to pay back on my website subscription fee. So if you're willing to do that, please do. I will give the link for that as well in the description. And I also have podcast swag. I will get the link for that as well. T-shirts and water bottles and tote bags and other pretty cool stuff. So I will give the link for that as well. Hopefully what you can do with these episodes on this podcast, Living with Invisible Learning Challenge, I would like to challenge you to journal about the episodes and just see what you learn from them. Or you can share about the episodes with your friends and family and see what they can learn from them. And as always, I will post the links to the articles that I use in the description of the podcasts. And please let me know if you know somebody who you think would want to be interviewed on this podcast, or if you yourself would want to be interviewed. Please email me. I have my email on my website, and I also have it pretty much pretty accessible on Facebook and Instagram through messaging as well. So you can get in contact with me in those ways.